Hi, how are you? Long time no see. My fault, obviously. I was supposed to make this video quite good few weeks ago, but unfortunately, I was going through things. Then I was going through other things, and then in between, somewhere in the middle, I kind of completely and utterly lost my crochet, or shall I say, craft mojo. But it's okay. It's all good now. It's all back. I'm back. Yeah, and raring to go. And today I would like to talk about my brand new two new books. Ta-da! Now, my lovely bookies are both came out this year. There was supposed to be this one. This one, the embroidered crochet, was supposed to be last year, and this one was supposed to be this year, but there was an issue. So, my beautiful embroidered crochet, this is the book that my heart and soul is in. Everything went into this beautiful book, and I love this book so much. I mean, I love this one also, but this one just has a special place in my heart. I know that whoever follows me on social media, you heard this story already, but I say it again. So when I made this book and I've done all the projects and everything was ready, I sent them off to Sedge Press to be photographed, and unfortunately, everything got lost in the post. I know. So 8 months of work went and it was all gone. So thanks to some wonderful friends, I managed to redo everything. And that is the reason this book is delayed, because that one was supposed to be 2022. The publication was supposed to be 2022. But because of all the issue, it's got a bit delayed. But it's okay, because it's here and it's amazing. These are all the beautiful projects, and they are absolutely amazing. Now, I love embroidery and I love crochet. So combining those two was just, match made in heaven, isn't it? I've experimented with embroidery and crochet for a very long time. And when I thought that would make a really lovely book. And I'm so glad that Sedge Press agreed. And here we are. This wonderful beauty is out. In the second part of the video, I'll be showing you how to transfer the iron-on transfers in the book, your embroidery transfers, onto your crochet fabric, how to prepare your work for embroidery, and I will also show you few embroidery stitches as well. So that is in the second part of this video. So if you want to see this, please don't go away. Now, this little beauty. I love this book. I love this book because it's Tunisian crochet, and I had an incredible and utter love for Tunisian crochet for a very, very long time. I'm gonna show you some of the stitches. This is the index of all the stitches. I'm trying to show you so you can actually see. But yes, you see, look at all those beautiful stitches. Gorgeous stitches. So I also be doing videos on everything about Tunisian crochet. So I will take you from the beginner to the more advanced. So in this book, you have 150 stitches to experiment with. I take you from the basic to more advanced. So we cover everything from the simplest of stitches to lace, to shells, cables, even embellishments, how to actually work the basic embellishments onto Tunisian crochet. So this book is wonderful, and I will make more videos on this soon. But for now, let's go back to our embroidery on crochet, and let me show you how to start your work. Now, before we do, if you do like this video, then please do like, share, and subscribe. And let's get started. Welcome to part 2. Let me show you how to get started with embroidery and crochet, and also how to make few basic stitches. Before we get started, you will obviously need the book. You will need your background. I have a small swatch here. You can do any background obviously out of the book. My swatches work in double crochet, as is every background in the book. So that's UK double crochet, US single crochet. You will also need tapestry needle. Depending on the thickness of the yarn you are using, it will be anything from size 16 to 22. I am actually using prim like yarn needles. They come in a set of two. One is a bigger eye, the other one is a smaller eye. I'm using the smaller eye, but if you cannot get them, again, tapestry needles are absolutely great because they have blunt ends. You will also need just standard dressmaking pins, just standard pins, nothing fancy. 2 or 3 will absolutely do. And you will need some safety pins. I usually have 4 because my swatch is a square, so I want to pin it on each side. You will of course need your embroidery yarn. I use DMC tapestry yarn. Well, that one is Anka, it's a very old one, because I love it. It has a weight of a double knitting yarn. So my swatch is made in double knitting yarn, and therefore I will be using the yarn in double knitting weight as well. You will also need a stabilizer to back your crochet fabric when you are embroidering. This just gives you another layer of support, so your embroidery stitches are nice and even, and also don't come too far or distort the crochet fabric. There are 2 stabilizers on the market that I know of. One is Stitch and Tail, which I use all the time. The other one is the water soluble one. So this one will dissolve in water. It is great. It's very good when you embroidery onto garments, but you must make sure that it really, all of it dissolves in water, otherwise it can harden. This one is fantastic. I love using this one because if you're making wall hanging or decoration, this one is absolutely spot on. But again, it's your choice, whichever is easier for you. So you also need an iron. Now make sure that the steam is off. So when we go into iron on the transfer, we don't want the steam on at all. So make sure that this is off. And obviously you need scissors. I also have a threadless heat erasable pencil. It is not essential. However, I love them and I'll show you why I have it. Now, first of all, before we start, a very important thing, we do not use any embroidery hoops while we embroidering onto our crochet fabric, because it will pull and distort a crochet fabric and you will create lines. We do not need it. Crochet fabric has enough of density to it for us to comfortably embroider onto it without it being too floppy or bothersome. You can use an embroidery hoop as a decoration for your embroidery on crochet, like I did in this wall hanging. I crocheted the circle onto the inner part of the embroidery hoop. Also, if you are making this one, always embroider before you attach it to your frame. The reason is because crochet will stretch, so while you are embroidering onto it, it can really sink in and stretch, so therefore you're going to have quite a floppy and loose middle of your wall hanging, and you don't want that. So no embroidery hoop. We will simply hold it, even if it's a large piece, lay it down on a table and just embroider in this way, just turning it around whichever way you want. You will also need butcher's paper. This isn't essential at all. I use it because I like to protect my crochet fabric when I am transferring the iron-on transfer. You can just use the tip of an iron. If it's a small piece, you can just use the tip of an iron to iron it on, like I showed you in the book. If you look in the book here, oopsie daisy, I think it's here. There we go. You see, you can just use the tip of an iron and it will be absolutely fine if you don't have butcher's paper. I haven't used baking parchment because I think it's too waxy, so I haven't actually used it. It could work, I'm not sure. As I said, I haven't used it at all. You will also need an ironing board, a heat resistant pad or anything. I'm using this one. This one is the Cricut. This is designed for the heat presses, and it is a brilliant little investment, I have to say. It's not expensive, but it's absolutely brilliant because it's so small and I use it on the table to pin my crochet squares or whatever. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, if you want something small, I recommend this one. It's absolutely brilliant. Now that we have everything, let's start embroidering. So let's start by choosing our design. All the iron-on transfers are at the back of the book. For some of the large ones, like the cushion, this is the cushion on the front here, or the wall hanging on the cover of the book, the transfers will be separated in 2 or 3 parts. You've got those crosses of where to join them. So this is the one part, and this is the second part, you see, and you just join it by the crosses. He also explained this to you on each of those projects where requires a large design. There you go, you see. So it shows you how to join each diagram. So for now, I'm gonna show you how to do a little one. I also want you to remember that you don't have to use the designs only on the project inside the book. You can take the little designs and use them wherever you like to embellish your other crochet project, to embellish your clothes. However, for, let's say, the wall hanging, if you want to have a good long strip of all of it, do not separate them. I have to say I separated my one already because I used my little flower for something else. Ooh. Hold on, let's have a look. You see, I used one here already. Never mind. How about we use this one? So let's cut this one out. And also, all the transfers are already mirrored, so when you place them, they will be the right way round. So, you see, another thing not to worry about. Again, if you were to make them fully, you will obviously cut the whole page. There we go. Also, very useful, you have a pocket here where you can keep all your iron-on transfers. I already have one here, so that's really nice. It keeps it all nicely in one place. Okay, so now we've got our embroidery. Let's grab our ironing board or iron-on pad or whatever you are using. I place a butcher's paper underneath as well. The reason is, a few years ago I was doing embroidery on woven cloth, on just standard, I think it was linen, I think, and the iron-on transfer, the ink was so strong it went in onto my ironing board. So that's why now automatically I just place like butcher's paper underneath. All right, grab your swatch or your project. Now I'm gonna cut my one a little bit. My one is a little bit too long for my swatch, so I'm gonna cut it off a little bit. So now choose where to place it. I want to place my one here. Use your dressmaker's pins to keep it in place. So pin it into place. Oops, that's the way. There you go. So pin it into place so it doesn't move. The reason that we don't want it to move, because we need to see if it has transferred correctly. If it hasn't, then you will need to do it a bit longer with an iron, and to move it, it means it will shift and therefore the lines will not be inlined anymore. So I'm going to place my butcher's paper on top, grab my iron and press it down. Now don't be too hard on it, give it a good pressure but not too much. Don't press it too hard, but give it a slight pressure, not too much. If you didn't have the butcher paper, oh sorry, my iron just undid itself. I've got this wireless iron. It's a horrible iron, honestly. You have to wait every time for it to start heat up. You cannot use it for too long. Honestly, it's awful. Don't ever buy it. It's terrible iron. So you see, if you didn't have the butcher's paper, just with the tip of your iron, just hover over the design. See? So that, because you don't want to destroy your crochet fabric, because you know, obviously with heat can destroy like crochet fabric very, very easily. Right, let's have a look if we are okay. So you see, now what I'm going to do now, be careful because it's hot. Gently lift up on the side and see if it transferred. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That will be okay. Again, do be very careful because the pins will be hot, but I'm happy with that. Of course, you can keep it for a lot longer for the lines to be a lot more visible. Also, you can use those transfers 3 times, but be very careful because they don't wash off. However, they will fade eventually. Eventually, it will take a while. So you see, because not everything transferred fully as I would like to, what I'm going to do is use the threadless heat erasable pen to just go over the line to enhance them, to make them a lot more visible, you see. So I'm gonna show you something. This thing is magic. If you do this, I'm gonna draw a line here and then grab your iron and just hover over it. It disappears. I know, absolute magic. In love with those pens, totally. They are absolutely fantastic. So I'm just gonna go over this line just to enhance them a little bit so I can see them a lot better. Again, do bear in mind that this is crochet fabric. This isn't flat woven fabric like cotton or linen. So do bear in mind that the lines will not show as clear as they do on a flat cotton or linen fabric. They will have, because crochet fabrics has bumps and grooves and stuff like that. So will the embroidery, but that's okay. As long as you got the basic outline, you are absolutely fine. Again, you can do it a lot stronger if you keep it on for longer. I'm gonna go down a little bit here. I think I want my little flower to be a bit taller. I cut off a bit, I know. There we go. I'm happy with that now. What we have to do now, let's put this away. Have to do now is back our embroidery with the stitch and tear. I usually back it fully. What I mean, I will measure my piece and cut enough stitch and tear to cover the whole background. The reason is I like to embroider freely. I don't like to be mindful of where my stabilizer is or where my stabilizer isn't and yada yada yada. I just like to have it backed all the way, and then I can just embroider without any issues or having to stop and check or whatever. Oops, let me put that in. Perfect. See, so my stabilizer is all the way at the back. I'm going to pin it on the 4 corners. So it doesn't move and annoy me when I'm embroidering. Perfect. So now let's choose the color for our stem. So I'm gonna go for this nice, beautiful and vibrant green. Cut yourself a length, not too long so it doesn't tangle, but also enough so you can go a bit far. Thread it through. I usually do a knot to start. So if you look at the crochet fabric, the crochet rows form lines. You see, you've got lines going all the way up. And each crochet stitch is a square. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sides of the square. So this I'm going from right top to bottom left. And this is going from bottom right to top left. See, so that one makes it so ideal for cross stitching, and it's also perfect for embroidery because the crochet fabric gives us a natural grid, which is absolutely ideal. We're going to make this stem in a stitch called stem stitch, which I think it's very appropriate for a stem, obviously. And what we're going to do, we're going to work every 2 rows. So we're gonna start here, and then we're gonna go 1 row, 2 row, we're gonna enter back here. So we start from back to front. So insert your needle at the bottom of your stem, pull it through, and now we're going to insert it 2 rows up. Pull it through. Now don't pull it all out, don't pull it all through, shall I say, but when you've got a bit of a loop, with your thumb hold it to your left side, and then insert your needle back again into 1 row above where we have started. So we're gonna pull our yarn through, tighten it, and now again we are going to go 2 rows up from this point here. 2 rows up, and before we pull it all through, grab your thumb, hold this loop to your left, and again we're going to go in the middle of those 2 rows. And pull it through. See what we are creating. You see, stem stitch gives a wonderful illusion of it being twisted. See, it's almost like you've got twist in your work. This is a perfect stitch for curves. So when you need to go over a curve or something, this is a beautiful stitch. And it's just such a nice stitch for straight work as well. So again, we're going 2 rows up from this point here. And again, hold the loop to the side and go in the middle. Oops, there we go, in the middle of those 2 rows. Again, 1, 2, 2 rows up, and this will be our last 2 rows up. Oops. Hold the loop down, come out in the middle of those 2 rows. And now what we have is our petals here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna go down 1 row up, and that will do, and no more. Just pull it all through, you see, so that way it's finished. But we still got a lot of yarn attached, and I don't want to stop and start. What we're going to do, we're also going to do those petals here. So at the back, don't go straight into the petals. So our petals, I think, are here, no, a bit up. So our petals are here. So I don't want you to go straight in there because it will create a loop. Even though it isn't a bigger loop, it's best not to have any loops at all. So just weave in your yarn underneath those loops you have created at the back already. You see those stitches at the back. So now we're gonna do our left side petal first. I usually turn it to the side because I'm going this way. So my petal is to my left, so I turn it to the side so it's on top. It's just easier to work, and we are going to work it in a chain stitch. So pull out your needle and your yarn in the middle, in the middle of the base of the petal. Let me just, so you can see it a bit better. I mean, I can see it really well, but I don't know if it's coming across on camera really like visible. But so now to make a chain, so we came out at the base of the petal. We're going to curve our yarn a little bit around, nothing spectacular, just hold it down. And we're going to back into the same place we came through, but this time we're gonna come out at the top of our petal. Well, actually it's a leaf. It's not a petal, it's a leaf. Let's call it a leaf because that's what it is. So we're going to come out at the top of our leaf, making sure the yarn is underneath the needle. We're going to pull it through. And then we need to anchor it down. So what we're going to do is insert our needle into the same place that we have taken out our needle. Push it down to the back and tighten. You see? So that's our first leaf done. So now we have to go to the other side. So again, we don't want to make a big gap at the back. We're just gonna weave it through. Turn it around so my leaf again is facing the top. I'm gonna start by going in the middle of the base of the leaf. Pull it through. Hold the yarn down to your left. Obviously, if you're left-handed, it will be to your right. Go back into the same place and come out, bring out your needle at the top of this sleeve, making sure that the yarn is underneath the needle. Pull it through, and that automatically creates a gorgeous loop. And what we have to do is anchor it down. So you see, we're going to go back down where our needle has come out from. So that's our stem and 2 leaves done. Beautiful. Let's just weave in this yarn. What I usually do, I don't over weave it. I just go 3 or 2 down and 2 or 3 up. Let's cut it off. And now what I want to do, I want to do the top of my flower. The top of my flower is worked in satin stitch, and I'm going to work it in this gorgeous summery yellow. When you work a satin stitch, where I work a satin stitch, I usually create a guide first of all, then fill in the guide. This is quite small, so it's not going to be too much of a guide. But again, if we look at the line, so we've got our row here and we've got a row here, and then we've got the little top here. So we're gonna start at the widest part, then we're gonna go on the other side, you see, and I am working from left to right, from left to right. So I'm gonna go at the back, and again come out from my right side onto the second point. So you see a row above. I usually create the guide every row, depending how large the spacing is, but usually every row I will create a guide. Then go here. You see, so I'm going in between the stitches and into the stitches as well. And then I'm gonna create this little top here, which is just 1 stitch wide. Again, a row above, 1 stitch wide. So now that I have my guide, I can fill in the spaces in between. And again, you see, I'm going from, oopsie daisy, I'm gonna show you at the back. I'm going, so if I go now down here, see, so I'm giving myself a bit, making it a little bit wider, not too much, but just a little bit, so the top of the flower has a nice shape. There we go. Use your needle to kind of bring it down, and then we're gonna do this one here. Again, trial and error, see what looks good, what looks bad. You know, if you don't like it, if the shape isn't nice, undo it and do again. This is going to be perfect because you have made it, so do not worry too much. You see, now I don't like this gap here, so I'm gonna place another one here. But again, you see my yarn come out here, but I'm gonna go back here again. Well, actually back here. So always from left to right or right to left. Let's fill this up. You see, so now I'm liking more. It's filled, there is no gaps, and I'm very pleased with that. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the wider part. I'm gonna start here. You can go over it few times. All it will do is just create more of a 3D effect. Obviously embroidery on crochet create 3D effect anyway, because it's quite, you see, if it, I don't know, you can see it sticks out a little bit, which is very nice. On this one I will show you on the roses. You see the roses really do stick out, so it's nice and 3D. It's really lovely. Oh, actually on this one, on the parsnip, see, it's nice and squishy. It's lovely. And again I'm gonna fill this down here. Oops. Oopsie daisy, here we go. And I'm gonna place one more because I want it nice and filled. Let me fill it a little bit more. There we go. Pull it a little bit more. Now use your needle, if you're not happy with the shape, to kind of pull it out a bit more. See? To kind of curve it. I'm quite pleased with that actually. I think that's okay. I'm gonna leave it where it is. And what I'm going to do is weave in my end. Cut my yarn, and now I am ready for my petals. Each petal is made in chain stitch with a straight stitch going through it to fill it up. So grab the yarn of your petal. I usually will start my petals from the top down, so I will turn my work so the top of my see, I'm not really happy with the top. Actually, no, it's okay. It's okay. No, it's fine. So you see, you manipulate it a little bit. So pull it this way, squish it a little bit, and it's fine. Start again in the middle, at the base of the petal you want to work. So I'm going to do this petal. Actually, I should be here really. There, here I am. See, pull it through, curve your petal, go back the same way you came in, and now come through at the top of the petal or the bottom of the petal if you're looking at the correct way. But looking from upside down, it's the top of the petal. Make sure the working yarn is underneath the needle. Pull it all the way through, and again we have to anchor it down, so go back into the same space, so go back into the same place that you took this needle out from. Perfect. You see, if you want to pull it in a little bit, if you think it's too loose, pull the anchor and then pull the petals down. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in between this petal, so in the middle of this petal, and just simply create a straight stitch. Straight stitch is exactly what it says on the tin. It's just a straight stitch. So I'm going to go from top to bottom in the middle of this petal and create a straight stitch. See? So it fills it up really nicely. Now I'm going to go at the base, in the middle of the base of my second petal. Let me just move it a little bit. There we go. Pull it through, create a loop. Yeah. Go back the same way you came in, and then bring out your needle at the top of this petal. Yarn underneath the needle and pull it through. Perfect. Then anchor it down by going in down the same way you came out. Move it a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna pull it a little bit, it's a bit too loose. There we go. Now go back to the top in the middle of this petal, Ow. And make a straight stitch inside of this petal. Perfect. You see, 2 petals done. We're gonna do 1 more in the middle of the base of the next petal. Oops, create a little curve, then back into the same place and out at the top of this petal. Yarn underneath the needle, pull it through, anchor it down, and then we're just gonna have to make a straight stitch in the middle here. In the middle of that straight, or in the middle of that petal. Let me just pull this out a little bit. If your stitches start pulling too much, just use your needle to pull them out a little bit. You don't want your stitches to be too tight, because otherwise they will pull in the work and distort it. Straight stitch, you see, so that's our flower made. Let me just weave in those stitches at the back. Well, weave in the yarn at the back, not the stitches. Perfect. And here we are, our first flower is made. If you are happy with your embroidery and you want to stop it there, you can just tear away the stabilizer, but please do it gently. So go gently around. I'm not going to do it now, because I want to use this swatch still to show you how to make a back stitch and fern stitch and French knots. So I'm not going to do it now. I will show you on the next video on how to tear it off nicely. Also, I always back my embroidery, like you see I've done it here. I usually back it with felt and sew it with invisible thread, or thread matching my felt or the background. Or if it's on your embroidery hoop, use felt but glue it on. Like I also glued it in this one here. Oopsie there, I'm gonna bring it down. It's a wall hanging, see? So on this one I have felt. This is felt which is covered with fabric, and it's very tough, it's very strong, so it's perfect for gluing at the back of your embroidery. You can see as in the basket. In the basket I have also backed all the way around the side. This not only covers the embroidery, but it also I can't say that word, strengthens, but it also strengthens the sides, which means that my basket keeps the sides, keep the shape really nicely. So I always recommend backing your embroidery crochet, not because you should be ashamed of your back, of course you shouldn't, but it keeps it nice and straight. It helps to keep the edges from curling. Now you will find all the details about those 2 books in the description box below. I'll be making videos for the Tunisian Crochet Stitch Dictionary very soon, but I will see you in few days for backstitch, fern stitch and French knots. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have enjoyed this video, then please do like, share and subscribe. See you soon.